G'day, today's exercise is to fix the rear door switch on a Subaru Forester MY09 model. The switch is located just under here and we've had some problems with it, it's not opening. The tools that are required for today are screwdrivers, some plastic tools to remove clips, there's another metal tool to remove clips, a 8mm and a 10mm wrench, and you can see the diagram here of the component that we're changing. You can also see it's located under the rear trim, and you can see the clips and screws that need to be removed in order to get to it. This is the part here. This is the old part that was replaced. It's attached to the license plate lights, and you can see the switch here has the rubber has worn over it and it no longer works. We first need to start by removing the internal trim on the inside of the rear door, and there's a number of screws and clips that we need to undo, and it's where we use the plastic tools. This will allow us to get to the trim on the back of the car along there, but first we need to remove the wiper arm in order to get to the motor on the inside and get to the screws that are holding that rear trim on. So you first need to remove the wiper blade from the back here, and it's simply done by just lifting that carefully and unclipping it, being careful not to damage it, and then just undoing that screw there using a 10mm wrench. Okay, so just having undone that nut there, the arm just simply lifts off. Next, remove the lining along the pillars, just using the tool here and popping these out. There's a few little clips along the side there that hold that in, you can see that, and you can then loosen this complete arm off here and it comes out there. You can leave the tail light section in and then repeat the same on the other side along this pillar here. So when removing the interior lining of the car, first of all remove these this one screw here, which is just underneath the handle. There's a little snap down door there, and then these things here just slip out, and there's a white little plug in behind it, and there are several of those along here. So here you can see the interior lining, and on this side here it's been removed, so you can see where the spots where it clips into. Note that there's that screw there you need to undo before you take off the rear trim from the back of the car. Carefully remove the lining using the plastic tools to release the clips. Note that there's one green clip which is attached to the wiper motor, and you'll have to slide the lining off that clip as it won't detach from the wiper motor. So this is the rear boot trim. Note the positions of the plastic clips. The white ones, there's one green one there that actually slides in and out, so you might be able to slide it off, and this attaches to the motor of the rear windscreen wiper. And then these little screws that go in the holes at the end there, so just be careful not to break them when removing the rear trim. So in order to remove the external trim, there's a number of nuts and screws that you need to remove. So there's a couple in here. There's also a couple behind here, which is the motor for the rear windscreen wipers, and there's a couple further along there as well. So in order to do that, you first need to unplug the motor and then undo and remove those 3 screws. Okay, having removed the rear motor for the rear windscreen wiper, you can now undo the 7 screws. So there's one just outside to the edge, and then in each of these holes you'll see the nuts that are in there. There's 3 over here, and then there's a few more down there as well to undo. You can see the tailgate wiring loom is attached, and there are a number of plugs. This one here is for the rear windscreen wiper, that one there is for the license plate lights, and then the switch for the tailgate, and then there's a plug here for the rear windscreen heaters. So you can see here the actuator in the back here, and to make it work you just need to push that and that will open the boot. To remove it, there are two bolts on either side here, they just need to be undone, and then this will push in and come out the reverse side here, and attached to it is a 4-pin plug which you can remove once you've taken the actuator out of the back of the car. Now, having removed the nuts from the 7 internal screws, we now need to return to the outside of the boot and remove the trim. So use a plastic clip removal tool to carefully prise off the clips and work your way along the external trim, being very careful not to damage the clips as you pull them off. So you can see the rear trim here. There's a number of screws and they all hold it into place with those clips. Care has to be taken when removing the rear trim so not to damage those clips. So you can see where the rear trim mounts onto the back of the car just below the windscreen. You can see the holes there, and they align with these screws and clips on the rear trim. And you can see, if you flip it around, you've got the door switch, the license plate lights, and the wiring loom that's all attached to that. And you can see with the plugs, one plugs into for the number plate lights and the other one plugs in for the door switch. So the tailgate switch is attached to this component here, and to remove that there's, you can see 1, 2, 3 and 4 small screws that need to come off. So when those 4 screws are removed, then the component here just lifts off, and you can see the door switch is part of that. Underneath there you can see how it's mounted, and you just need to apply a bit of pressure to both sides to push the switch out so it pops out. So as you can see, this switch here slips into that hole. So the door switch just clicks into this spot here, and you can see it come through on the other side there. So you can see the 2 license plate lights attached to the loom, and you can see the screws there. The screws for the number plate lights can be undone, and you can see on the other side where I've taken them off, there's a number plate lights, there's a rubber. So having changed the switch, it's now time to reassemble the components. So reinstatement of the internal and external trim is simply the reverse of the process that we've gone through to remove it. So having now plugged the 2 switches in for the license plate lamps and the door switch, just check on the other side to ensure that they work. Ensure that the license plates lights are working, and that when you press the button it actually does open the boot. So now that you've confirmed that the lights work and the switch works, you can then reinstate the internal trim as well. Thank you for watching.